What's going on, everyone? Finally, I know it's been a few days, but I'm back with a brand new video, and I won't say per usual, but more times than not, as becoming the case, I'm in the four-wheel studio, aka my car. So once again, if you experience any audio variance outside of the normal quality, please attribute it to that. So with that being said, let's jump into the topic of today's video. Now, I first saw this the other day. Ticket TV. Ticket TV was the first that I saw talk about this. So shout out to that brother. And then I saw Two Raw had done a video about it. And I saw, when I was perusing the platform formerly known as Twitter today, I saw that Clutch Points had talked about it as well. And to get into it, what it is, this comes from an anonymous player on the Lakers Summer League team who let it be known about his perceptions and his thoughts about how Bronny James was treated as opposed to the rest of the guys on the squad. And and I'm taking this is from the post from Clutch Points. So here's what he said. You could feel that there was no unity between this group of guys, as Bronny was the main guy and the others didn't feel that it was right, that he deserved that. I mean, he was treated as someone apart, not like all of us, and that is very annoying, as we didn't feel any chemistry in this group of players. I ended up being very frustrated because I was never put in the best situation or even put in some plays or game plans because they wanted Bronny to show off his skills and shine. If you talk to any other player that was a part of the roster of the California Classic and the Summer League, most of them would tell you the same thing. The tensions were visible, pretty much we were all thinking about the end of Summer League to get out of here and focus on the next step of our careers. This is coming again from an anonymous Summer League, anonymous Los Angeles Lakers Summer League player talking about Bronny James. This is via The Sun. And I know already there'll be some people talking about, well, it's just sour grapes. It was probably somebody who sucked, who didn't play well, and he's projecting his frustrations on the Bronny James situation. Could that be a possibility? Absolutely. But what I think is this. Is there some merit to what he says? Yes. And let me say this once again, because I've been very specific and measured in my critique and criticism of Bronny James, because I want to keep it strictly on basketball. I don't know the young brother as a person. Seems like a solid dude. And so with that, I'm not gonna because you hear some places, they just go over the top with the criticism, and whether that's due to residual rancor they have for his father, I don't know, but gonna try to keep it. I am gonna keep it focused on basketball. And here's the thing. There's a lot of merit to what he says, because even as we look at the entire draft process, when he was coming out, where he was placed, it wasn't very high, and you had several scouts and league people, personnel people that said, it would be a second round, or he might not even get drafted. When you looked at so many mock boards, he was, a second round guy, or there was some that actually pulled him off of their board. So this wasn't a situation where he came in highly touted necessarily based on his play. It was more or less based on the name on the back of the jersey and not what happened in the jersey. Because he said, we know his stats, the 8th leading scorer on his college team, under 5 points a game, and, not a player who's what I like to call jumps off the screen at you in terms of what you saw. So He got picked 55th, as we know. And here's the weird thing. It's almost like a conundrum. He played, when you watch him in the summer league, he played like a 55th pick, to be honest. You know, when you make that type of pick, this is not, you don't draft somebody 55th with the expectation this is going to be the guy that's going to help, you know, put us over the hump, or this is a guy that we're figuring into our future as we build toward a championship. You know, that's the case for guys not named LeBron James Jr. So, to that end, that's about what you would expect. But he did not, his play didn't live up to the hype commensurate to the level of attention that he was getting. I go back to, I think ESPN, I want to say it was ESPN, had put out a blurb or whatever after his first game that it said he dropped 4 points in his summer league debut. And whenever you hear people, he dropped 30, he dropped 40, he dropped 50. You've never heard them. No one drops 4. Anytime I've heard somebody score 4, it's because they either had a really, really bad game, they got injured, it was foul trouble, it was some sort of extenuating circumstance as to why they only scored 4 points. It was not a situation to where they went out and that was their maximum output was 4 points. So, you know, in that aspect, you knew that I'll say the quote unquote that the fix was in terms of funneling a lot of attention toward him as he begins his NBA career. But so from a certain level, the anonymous player, whoever he may be, is hitting on a lot of points. Now, the other thing that, and I was thinking about doing a video just outlining this, that in a lot of ways, and this is really bad, he's been, and when I say he, I'm speaking of Bronny James, he's been set up to fail. He's put in a no-win situation outside of, if he would have went out there and put up 13 to 15 points a night, then a lot of this goes away, because playing well and winning shuts everything up. Okay, the fact that he didn't gave the detractors and the people who thought that something was rotten in Denmark with this whole draft process as it relates to him, it gave them more ammunition to talk about it. Because here's the thing, the perception, and a lot of this unfortunately spills off his father, because for over a decade, for really most of his career, there's been the perception that LeBron James has a hand, or attempts to have a hand, in the dealings from personnel to roster to coaches in any team that he's on. And so when you get that perception is already there, even more so with the Los Angeles Lakers. And then you have the fact that the perception that he was the one who got Darvin Ham run out of Los Angeles, and then the guy that you just happen to be doing a podcast with pops up and gets the Lakers job. In terms of different trades that they have made, most deleteriously, the Russell Westbrook trade, there is the perception, and I'm going to say rightfully so, that he does have a larger hand than he should in the dealings of teams that he's on. And so the perception is that he was the driving force behind the Lakers drafting Bronny James. I know what Rich Paul said, that it was a genie bus decision. But again, even that, she reportedly said that her goal in the offseason was to make LeBron James happy. And one of the ways you do that is drafting his son. By the way, he said that was one of the things he wanted to do in his career, was play with his son. So all of these things come together to make it look like the only reason that you're even here is not because of your game, but because of your name. And I think more and more people are starting to become aware of the machinations of the LeBron James machine, and they've had their fill of it. They're tired of it, and you see more people than I have ever seen calling this out as they see it. So you've got that going on, and when he himself said, and I'm speaking of Bronny, said that it wasn't necessarily a dream of his to play with his father. And so what you have happening is that this young brother's career is potentially being sacrificed on the altar of the wants, the hopes, and the legacy built on sand of his father. Because, and granted, I'm not telling anyone how to raise their children, but if you recall, and Ticket has talked about this, that when Sharif O'Neal was preparing to go through the draft process, his dad told him in no uncertain terms that you are not ready and you need to go back to school. Now, granted, he didn't heed his father's advice and he came out anyway, and he is still in the D League the last time I looked. So you have a situation again where you have a legend who's telling his son you're not ready, and didn't try to use his power and influence to get him in a position that he may not have earned himself. And so when you combine all these things together, it's easy to see why a lot of people look at this whole situation with the side eye. They think that it's not a situation where this was a guy that you had circled on your board. You know, if he's there, we're going to take him because of X, Y, and Z. If they had a draft board and Bronny James was on it, the only thing written to the side was that he's LeBron's son and that's what he wants. Nothing else about that. That's the long and the short of their scouting process of Bronny James. Because remember, even in Rob Pelinka's post-gamer, and I want to come back to that, not post-gamer, but their introductory press conference with Bronny and Connect, which, by the way, let me say this, all the attention that was on Bronny James, they should have been looking at Connect, because that dude was balling in the summer league. That dude is going to get some, I don't know if he's going to start, which I doubt, but he's definitely, at the bare minimum, year one, is going to be a contributing rotational guy. But he was getting less attention than Bronny. But getting back to the Rob Pelinka thing, if you will recall when he was talking about Bronny and things of that nature, he was talking about drafting, he was talking about, he used the word making history. And he was referring to LeBron and his son playing together. And what is painfully obvious, and again, I apologize to real Lakers fans, is that he's talking about making history when in previous iterations of the Lakers, the only history they were talking about making was winning championships. That's the history that they wanted to make, instead of, like, basically the Lakers have went from a franchise that was, no pun intended, the gold standard in a lot of ways of the NBA, one of the crown jewel franchises, to now they're the equivalent of an Instagram model posting thirst traps for clout. Because this is the history you're talking about, not raising more banners, not winning more games, but to have this quote-unquote first moment in league history happen in a Lakers uniform. And again, that goes to show you how far this franchise has fallen. And they continue to make a joke of themselves as the laughingstock of the NBA. But getting back to the point that I want to close with, that you look at the attention that he was getting. Yeah, there was clearly a difference. He was getting lottery attention when he probably had a D-League game. And so, you know, and the players, they aren't stupid. You know, they can see what's going on. You know, when when all of a sudden it's 40, 50 media members sitting out at a summer league game, which typically only happens, for your big time guys, your Wembys, your Zions, these highly touted picks, and all the attention is there, and whenever something went wrong, there was always some sort of excuse made, and that would never be made for any of the other players. And so if you're on a team, you can see that it's natural. It's going to create some tension. That attention alone is going to kind of somewhat set him apart from the rest of the guys on the club. And this is the other thing I want to leave you with this, and I'm going to close, because unintentionally, and the situation that I like to use, and I like LeVar Ball, but when he talked up Lonzo so much into the draft and all the things that he said, if you'll recall, it might have been his first game or one of his first games, and what Patrick Beverley did to him in that first game, it was like he was playing against LeVar Ball to shut him up about what he said. I mean, he was in his shorts from the opening tip. If he could have, he would have went and guarded him on the bench. Shout out to Scottie Pippen. Because LeVar's comments put a target on Lonzo. Now, granted, he obviously recovered and became was ascending into a very good player before he had this horrible knee injury. But I think in some ways that this could be what fate will await Bronny once the season starts, because all of the hype, all of the attention, and these cats in the league, they had forgot what you said on Twitter when you said that your then high school son was better than a lot of dudes, or your college age son was better than a lot of dudes in the league right now. Those dudes in the league saw that, even though you deleted it. The internet is in ink. They saw it, and guess what they're going to do when they see Bronny? They're going to go after him like it is Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and he better be ready for that. So, with that being said, I have blathered on long enough. But with that being said, what do you think about these comments of this anonymous player? Do you think it's just sour grapes? Do you think it's just, a guy who's salty over just salty in general? Maybe because lack of attention, maybe because he does his game, the perception of his own game is not what it was, and he didn't have the type of summer league that he wanted, and he's taking it out on somebody. Or do you think what he says has some merit? Let me know. Let's talk about it in the comments section. And as always, thank you for spending a few moments with me. And as always, tell the ones that you love them. Peace.